All right. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, made it through Wednesday. Rolled into Thursday like a, I don't know, like a wrecking ball. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I just came up with that. Totally dumb. Hey, what's ever going on, everyone? I just don't want to deal with the chat. I I did something. I hopefully did it right, but there won't be any chatters. So not it's just dude, I don't do well with the chat when look, I'm not an OG like brawler that commands any kind of anything out here. I screw up a lot. I want to apologize profoundly to my best friend Whiskey because I totally could have handled that better. And it was a barrage. I didn't mean to let it go in that direction. And there's no ill will on my intention. And I'm truly sorry to you. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm a loser. You're going to have to at some point understand that. I don't want chat and influence, especially in, you know, certain topics like and these ones don't matter. Like no one cares about this stream. Like no one's gonna be here anyway. But anyway, um look, I'm just not I'm not gonna have my friend drugged and I shouldn't have allowed that in all reality. He wouldn't have allowed that for it to happen to me. And there's no excuse, so I'm not gonna try, okay? But I am gonna talk about a plague named George. I'm gonna have a series of George topics because how I look at George, oh my god, he's my arch nemesis. I have another word for him that I really love to use, but I know I'm gonna offend everybody, and I don't want to do that either. Okay. I do, but I'm just not gonna. but George reminds me of like that curious George, right? Like he's always getting into trouble and doing all these little things, and nobody really pays attention to him because he's this cute little stupid monkey that no one could ever imagine could ever do anything powerfully influential, whatever. But I'm going to bring it to light because, and this is going to frustrate the minds of a lot of leadership in the church, and I faced this personally quite a few times with leaders. And I don't come into your church and try to be like, oh yes, I know everything and I will set you straight. No, I've always tried to have a debate, a topic of what if the Madison Son of Perdition, which many call the Antichrist, was actually revealed right now. What would you do? Most of the time people will continually just murder you forever thinking that the doctrines of the Trinity and the rapture and all these could ever be wrong, because it does. It frustrates your mind when anyone comes to you, because look, I've dealt with leaders who have been teaching this stuff for 30 odd years, and you come in and you just kind of happenstance, well, what if the man is sin, the Antichrist is already revealed? Well, guess what that does to your doctrines? It destroys everything, and then you have to re-evaluate your truth, and you're probably going to lose your place on the pulpit, and that stuff isn't going to hold water anymore, and you're going to have to do something with it. Well, most in the pride and arrogance and ego of mankind, some love the doctrine more than they love truth. And I'm here to frustrate that. I like it. And I don't care what anyone thinks. But take it to heart, okay? Because there's a lot to unpack with this. So I'm going to do this in small variations just to bring it to pass, okay? So, a plague named George. Today I want to talk about George being the, how can we say this? Well, I'm revealing that he is the Madison Son of Perdition. So, in all fairness, the world calls that the Antichrist, but there's many Antichrists. The Antichrist is spirit, but there's only one man. Jesus was very specific. He wanted us to know that, and I always find that profound. That Like he was like pointing to the bush every single time, right? So of course it's a bush because a bush ain't a tree. He's not that fascinating, okay? Um but I want to talk about the plague named George that has infected, literally infected the globe. Right now, currently, from my research, I think 68% of the globe right now is vaccinated. That means there's 68% of this global population that has succumbed to a global vaccination technique that now stands in question, and the whole world is caught wondering with their pants down. Many people probably feel so betrayed and also afraid and also very much probably many things I don't know, but I can only fathom what people must be going through. Um and then you're gonna have one side saying, "Oh, it's all conspiracy," and the other side, "Oh, we were right the whole time." No, no, no. This is revealing the source. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in time to I talk about this often because it is incredibly important. So um I'm gonna show you that moment and then kind of walk it out, so to speak. See if I can find out my videos. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Mm-mm-mm. Down here somewhere. I had to go search the web and I found this we're coming on upon a lot of anniversaries for George, why I'm talking about him. We're coming on the February 7th will be the day that Colin Powell um held up the vial, the sixth vial of wrath that eventually was poured out on the great river Euphrates on 3/22/2003, which was the beginning of the Iraq War. So from February 7th to the was it to the day that George announced? Or no, it was 40 days from the time that Colin Powell held up the sixth vial of wrath, which was anthrax, which was the whole reason why we went to into Babylon and on the Euphrates and perpetuated war on Babylon in the beginning, representing the beginning of time. By this man right here, all based on a lie. We now know that that was all a lie, right? You do know that. George Bush entered into a war on terror based on complete lies and fabrication and bullshit. Have we not learned yet? No. Um, well, here he is. Did you know that George declared life or death on this day on a death course? With that being said, let me continue though. But the fabric of how these people operate, the enemies of Yah, is that they basically mock Yah and they
Tomorrow's
line
world.
and they keep in line with the tradition of the number. So Jesus walked 40 days in the wilderness. Then he had his the proposition of Satan, where Satan said, "Bow to me, and I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world, and they'll fall down and worship you." Like Jesus was like thirsty for something here in this world, and then Jesus was like, "Oh, get behind me, Satan, you silly little livered weakly winkling imp," right? So from February 7th to March 22nd, 2003 was a 40-day period. So the presentation was for the whole world to see, meaning the vial was um, propped up. Colin Powell propped it up and he said, "Here you go. This is the thing. We have to go in this yellow cake." No, 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 it was anthrax or something. Anyway, they never found any kind of anything over there in that desert, and they still haven't to this day. But they did it again. Okay, and I'm sorry, this was 2007. I thought it was 2005, but no, it was 2007 when George declared on World AIDS Day, Deuteronomy 30:19. But first, I want to take us here real quick. All right, hold on. Can I share this tab? I'm going to show you the stunning coincidence, which there are no coincidence. Here, okay.
Hey, do you want to play game now? Okay, here, I help. One of these things is not like the other things. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you guess
Oh,
which thing is not like the other thing? Before I finish my song,
okay,
now look
stop,
close.
stop, shut up. All right. So this is guess who, if anything were to happen right now to President Joe Biden, of course we know Kamala Harris would possibly take his seat in his own incompetence. But there's also a bid that possibly Gavin Newsom could as well. And guess what Gavin's holding up here for the whole world to say? Yeah, that's the COVID, either the COVID vaccine or the COVID virus. And that was, I think, back in 2020, possibly 2021. Where he's doing the same thing here that Colin Powell did. So then, okay, so now we're talking about there's the sixth vial of wrath, which is in the word that was poured out on the great river Euphrates, as this guy is going to be talking about some mission accomplished, right, in the middle of the sea on the USS Abraham. That was also relevant. That was May 1st, Illuminati Day, Beltane May Day. It's their holidays. Um, but the point is like, so they're following some kind of, I don't know, mockery towards, yeah. But anyway, this is how the enemy works. See, and why it's so that they have to present things to you so that you receive it. If uh if Colin hadn't lifted up this lie, this fear, this terror, this thing here that we're supposed to be scared of, then we wouldn't have been able to receive it or reject it. You see, most people just received it because we were like, well, it's for the good of humanity. Of course, we have to go in war. And so the same thing happened with COVID, right? Oh my God, it's terrifying and death looms at our doors, and we have to receive this thing in our body now that they say is going to save me and help me and keep me and my family. And oh, you should do it for all the good of humanity. And oh, anybody who's not is a murderer. You dirty little murderer. You won't take the vaccine. Yeah, we lived through that. Wear your mask. If you don't wear a mask, you're a murderer. These are all pinpointing as marks of him, the mark, the number of his name. He has a mark, an image, and a number of his name. Now, okay, so um this would represent a plague, this thing here in this vial. A seventh vial, we're moving into, I'm talking about these vials because we're moving into a new vial that's coming, and it's called the seventh vial, the seventh plague, the seventh seal, and the third world woe. A woe where the whole world, where woe is like judgment, right? It looms over the globe. It's like, whoa, whoa, to all the inhabitants. Oh, whoa, whoa, like, come out of her, my people, lest you partake of her plagues. Like, it's calling to the masses, and we all know there's something terribly wrong here. So um how are we going to resolve this issue with the problem in mankind right now? Well, first of all, let's expose the plague, the real plague, in this man right here. All right. And then once you recognize him for what he is, then you can recognize why it's so important for them to do the things they do. But under this man, two times in history, we have received some major plagues and bouts with plagues. But I want to talk today about the curse that entered in this plague. And so, what we have to do is go back to this day, November 30th, World AIDS Day, and the curse of nations, which it's 12 minutes long. And George here is going to tell us how the scourge of AIDS has wreaked havoc on the generations of man and all of mankind, and we will come up with a cure, and of course the American people will all chip in, and it will be wonderful, and we're going to call it PEPFAR, and we're going to stand in a church in front of the innocence of African children, Israel, and we're going to declare this day, choose life or choose death this day. So on this day, George literally declared such a feat, a huge proclamation that belongs to the creator of life himself, um, which is Yah. And the thing with George is that he thinks he's God here. Like he's like, I will rescue from the scourge of this horrible plague, AIDS, which it was another plague we lived through um under George um and his father, the devil. George has a father, his name is the devil. Okay. All right. That's where the whole Rosemary Baby thing. I heard you. I heard you with the Rosemary Baby thing. It is significant. The son of the devil didn't come looking like a lizard with some crusty skin and some slitted eyes. No, he walked in like a little yellow livered, dumb, un anything, really nothing to really be celebrated as a man. Um, but he came right in smoothly with like flatteries and um false hope. He's more like a plague, trust me. He's more like a plague than he is anything of a man. But nevertheless, I guess your game has been good enough to fool the masses, George, so I'll give you that. Okay, anyway. You can go watch this whole entire video on your own, but do know that this is significant. Why? Because through this and the Christian organizations and churches that are in league with all these policies that George has ever done, um, one being PEPFAR, which is a global outreach that is perpetuated in global governance, global even to smaller town politics, to your local churches and 501c corporate churches who have sold out for a little bit of bread so that they can get their tax exempt status. And they too can be a corporation in which the government deems them necessary. But look what you have to do. You have to sell out, right? So when the government comes and knocking on your church doors and you say, oh, yes, oh, I don't want to lose my 501c3 status, because then that would mean I'd have to pay taxes and I wouldn't be a corporation and I wouldn't be protected under the Constitution, which says that I've every right to not have to claim taxes, meaning you're supplemented with the government and in league with them. But the problem with that is then when mandates and mask mandates and are you going to take the job and now your question, your freedom of being this quote church body in the truth and waving the mighty flag of freedom in Christ comes under that kind of auspice. All of a sudden everything changes, right? Everybody wear your mask. I'm sorry, we're going to close service today because we haven't all got the vaccine. All right, get it? Point being is that they're they're uh they're in the middle ground there. They're just trying to survive in the world and call themselves Christ and reap the benefits of being greedy little bastards. So I guess it all works out for them in the end. Nevertheless, it's I'm rambling. Okay, so anyway, this is what set it forth, though. All right, and here he is. Here's my little friend here.
Africa are a high priority for our nation. I'm pleased to announce that Laura and I will travel to sub-Saharan Africa early next year. I look forward to seeing the
Joy.
results of
Go
America's
straight
generosity
to Israel.
and to assure our friends that they have a steady partner in the United States of America. The scriptures tell us, I have set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life. All who wage the battle against AIDS have made the choice for life. Because of their compassion and courage, millions who once saw the disease as a death sentence now look to the future with hope.
George gonna bring you
This
hope,
World AIDS
everyone.
Day is a day of importance because today we resolve to continue the work of healing and redemption.
Mm-hmm. Healing and redemption.
Today to strive for the day when the scourge of AIDS is a part of history. Lauren, I'm honored to be here with you all. May God bless your work. May God bless those who suffer from HIV/AIDS. May God continue to bless our country. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it. He was the first voice to say such a thing, just like he was the first voice of reason, and also led us into a war of lies, and we still receive him. Oh, yes, please take my money, George. I need healing and redemption. You're the only man that's ever going to do that for me, honey. Right? That was also a lie. Why? Because ever since, all right, and notice that this year, let me show this one. This year, George has been commemorated as of October 13th, 2022, that he would be with Laura Bush on the grounds here at the White House, and they would be commemorating this great work that he has done through PEPFAR. Now, when you go back and you hear this speech, he talks about, well, he was actually, this is the commemoration. So it was announced on October 13th, 2022, and then he was honored on World AIDS Day 2022, which was, I believe, it's usually December 1st of every year, but they usually celebrate it the day before. So he was there, I think, on the 30th of November 2022, where he gave another speech. Let's see, which one was it? God, you're such a loser, George. Um, I have it somewhere, and I'm probably not gonna play that now, thank God, because but he was basically saying, I do want to decipher it at some point, but not today. Just want to touch on the fact that everything that came out of this 2007 speech, right, was something they're now calling gain of function research. All right. So gain of function was, how was COVID funded? Where do we go? What labs received funding over all the world, which many were in Ukraine. We found out many were in China, many all over the globe. Many research facilities had first, and the money. And if you go down the rabbit hole, I assure you, this money came from out of PEPFAR, which is this thing that has been meant to research and alleviate AIDS, which AIDS has been alleviated from taking the life of many. So the research, even in that, is productive. But what else came from that? Well, we have gain of function research, which was funded to create bioweapons through using HIV, swine flu, and a common coronavirus, which I guess they found their baby there. And the idea now is that not only did they create the virus and purport it on the masses through another lie that it came from bats from an open wet market in China. Whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Um, it's their story. They're gonna tell it how they want it, right? Um, but proof, you always follow the money. And so the money that funded all that also funded the vaccine. And so the very thing that was created to destroy is also being cured. The healing of the nations, the cure for humanity. I wonder, I very much wonder now, like, what did George actually mean? Was this his redemption? Because I don't see redemption for the masses right now as it stands. Okay. I don't, I see it, I see this as a great coup de grace upon humanity, purported from a man who preached life and gave us nothing but death. I mean, check the fruit of this man. Consider the source. How much has this destroyer destroyed? Because that's what he is. When he says he's the decider, he decides. Yeah, he's saying, I'm God, I will decide. And you're either for me or against. So he's basically always been in these roles where he's quoting scripture and he's basically mocking Yah in all his creation. So we have to look at it this way, that when he says life, he means death. All right. So he is the covenanter of this death curse. Not only that, he funded it, and with our taxpayers, we all have partook without batting an eye, looking at him, looking at the problem now, the massiveness of it. We don't even pay attention. Who's George? I don't know. Some dude. He was a president one time. Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, yeah. No, like this generation moving so quickly forward. It's like the presidency is so corrupt and full of vomit, and the Congress and everything about this Babylonian system right now, governance, is complete vile vomit. There is nothing there to rationalize as good. I mean, they have been fully corrupted thanks to everyone paving the way for George. They've been paving the way for George to enter in since like Nixon, okay? All right. And 1962 is the time when we would pinpoint the seed of Satan flourishing on the earth. Okay. And so, yeah, like all these things, but he's like the baby of, their God. And they also call him God, and he has many fabrications. Now, why do I say all this? Because now a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, is this the mark of the beast?" Well, in a sense, it sort of is a mark, right? And there's many marks, and marks are just marks. Okay, we can't. Okay, we can't say that just because you took the vaccine, you're not going to be saved. No one can say that. George certainly hasn't given us redemption through this process, and he hasn't really like waving the flag to say, "Oh, it looks better when he says, look, I've cured AIDS. I've been a huge help in the cure of AIDS. Okay. I've saved at least 10 million lives. But let's not forget how many you have cursed with death, George. We don't forget. And your style and convalescence, or whatever that word means, I don't even know. Your aura, it never changes. It just refabricates, and then you put, you and your Fauci friend. Did you know that Fauci retired on December 1st too, on World AIDS Day? He's like, oh, my work's here done. I did a good job. I did what I was meant to do. No, because that's how they look at death. They serve death. Like they want death to be purported upon them. When they look at you, they look at everything they'll never be, and they hate you. So yeah, like for them, it is redemption to destroy the planet or destroy humanity. That's how they see things. They don't care at the World Economic Forum how you feel about it. They're just going to keep doing it and purporting it. And now they're coming out. And what did Laura do? Oh, she gave us the vaccine that would help our women from the scourge of cervical cancer, which we are now recognizing that the vaccinations we give our young daughters at the age of 12, even before they're sexually active, when it comes to this other venereal, what is that one that they vaccinate against? I can't think of HPV. No, been known to be sterilizing populations. Why do they want to go to Africa and do that? They're doing it again. And then I see, like, on Twitter, we need to keep vaccinating and give women health when it comes to cervical cancer, HPV. We need to get them all vaccinated. They start in Africa, then they come to our children, and here you are. Now they're giving little babies 9 vaccines at the point of birth. So the minute their perfect little bodies enter, all creation, 9 months, Yah has formed your child, and made it so perfect, and every little structure he thought about, and every little thing about their soul and their future and their life, and everything about them so wonderfully crafted by a maker, so wonderful and loving. The minute it comes out, we have medicine saying, we need to jab them. We need to jab them right away because they're not safe here. They're not, their little bodies can't handle it. Well, we know now through research that breast milk gives a brand new, the colostrum in breast milk gives a brand new baby everything they need to build their immune system against all forms of diseases and 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 things that will hit them as soon as they come in. So you're already prepared to be protected, but we just never trust y'all in that. So but we trust the system, right? So I was reading a little a baby was just born. They jabbed him 9 times with the flu shot and everything else they give you when you're coming out of your mother's womb, and COVID and the COVID vaccine. 9 vaccines. As soon as they come out, the baby died. Babies are being or mothers, babies are dying in utero. Not only that, they're also people are becoming like this is a mass coup de grace. This is a genocide that we don't even want to see as a genocide purported on the masses. And then we take the blame because we feel bad. Like, yeah, so you trusted in something that lied to you. Get in line. We've all been lied to. Now let's look at the cure. Let's look at the problem, and then let's look at the cure, because there's hope. All right. But first, we have to understand that the major plague upon all humanity always starts with the bush. All right. I don't know where I went here. I don't know what I'm doing. I got a little lost there. Okay. I'm back. All right. So, with that being said, what's coming next, right? Okay. So, the problem with George is that he goes unnoticed. But I want to also show how we can, well, this is how I sort of spot them. This is really interesting too, and this, I made this video and it got taken down. I was like, it's so benign. It's like so pointless. Like, why would you take this down? It's literally nothing. It's so stupid. But they took this video down. So I'm going to show it to you because I think I can play it through this live stream and they won't even know. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? I have to go to, oops, I can't show you this. Okay, hold on. You can't see this. No, you can't. Okay. Um, I'll share it here though, because if I'm on a live, they're pretty much not gonna care. They're not gonna catch it. I hope you guys are well. Happy, what is today again? Oh yeah, it's Thursday. Time here all but means nothing. Anyway, I'll keep moving forward. Where's that video I did a long time ago? I think it's been like 3 months. Come on, where are you? Is this here? Yeah, this one was blocked. We're gonna watch some blocked content. This is really bad, scary content. Like, you should not be watching this. Like, YouTube doesn't want you to know this stuff. It's highly offensive, and we like it like that. It didn't even strike me for the song, which is the song is like, you know, I, they just struck it. They didn't even give me a reason. They're just like, this is blocked in all the world. I'm like, why? I didn't even do anything wrong. Okay, hold on. All right, so this is what I noticed. Pretty sure I covered the dates. All right, I shouldn't probably play the music, so I'll just shut that up. This was on 10/12, so this was the day before. This was the day before uh, the announcement of October 13th, 2022. So this was the day. Okay, so it was October 12th, the day before Vatican came out with this message on Twitter, and I was like looking at this picture, and I'm like, this is incredibly interesting, right? Um, and it's written. It's a book. I don't know if it's a book or anything, but they are declaring the coming of the Son of Man on this date, 10/12/2022, right? And I'm like, That's a really interesting freaking picture. It's just eerie and dark." And so I'm delving into it. And then I'm led to the scripture, which talks about how they seek dark counsel for their message. They seek the deep, dark counsels of death to give them the messages. I noticed this May 1st, and this is very interesting. It was when John Kerry and Barack Obama, and you won't find this anywhere, but I remember it was on the State Department Google website when they had the Google was trying to have their own social media page, and John Kerry had State Department, and I'm flipping through his pictures, and I'm like, oh, what was he doing like May 1st? Because I'm always interested. Like May 1st, where were you, John Kerry? May 1st. And I think it was 2014 or 2013. But anyway, they were at the original tomb in Jerusalem. It was like one of the first. It was one of the first recognized churches that the apostles went to, which had a um, underground tomb. And him and Barack Obama were down there on May 1st and doing some kind of ritual shiz. And I'm like, whoa, that's creepy. But whatever the case, I got the picture, I posted it, I saved it in my library because I studied John Kerry for all that whole time. I read mostly all of his speeches. I followed all his policy because I have to, he's my N word. Um, but one that's more tolerable because he's not as guilty as George. He's just like the John the Baptist of George. Like John Kerry prepared the way. He was like John the Baptist, but he's more like John Lennon, like with the give peace a chance, like peace and security. And he's gonna roll it through our government. Like, yeah, that's how my brain thinks. I'm sorry. I'm a product of my environment. But that's how I view John Kerry. So John Kerry's like the left hand of George, who was like the savior for death. I don't know. The destruction, the turmoil and terror on the masses. John Kerry led the way for the plague that is George W. Bush to come in to power. Thank you, John Kerry. Oh, and you still perpetuate him today. I know you're just doing your job, buddy. Hopefully you get the F out and there may be real redemption for you in Christ. I pray. But all the best to you, darling John. My darling John. He has a little bit of an affinity for me. I know it's weird, but it's here. It's real. John Kerry. No. Anyway, this was a long time ago, though. I studied him so much. I used to dream about him and shiz. But he's always like kind to me. Oh my god. Yeah. And anyway, not important. Anyway, let's get back to this topic. Um, so here we go. Let me just show you here what I found in this interesting message. So let me go. So here's the rest of the picture. Coming of the Son of Man. You got all these little golden altars. I don't and this thing there's something about water with George. Like, do you notice that the memorial over there in 9/11 is it's like a sunken, I forgot what they're called, but they're pools. There's some kind of pool, and it's supposed to be a remembrance of the names. And then on 9/11 they continue to, those are all rituals that are to garner power and such. But this great sacrifice is like a memorial to death, to the pit, to Abaddon, and everything that was released on 9/11/2001. this part that was part of the second woe, the hour of the second woe when the two towers fell. This is all scriptural too. You just go in and Google those words with the KJV and you'll find it. Um, the hour when the towers fell, they fell within an hour of both of them, right? So, and then 3.5 days later, George was out there orating to the east that we're going to go get those terrorists. That was all ritual, a magic, a abracadabra. Now you see it, now you don't. Blood sacrifice, whole burnt offering to Moloch that released Abaddon from the pit. And then all these devils and spirits that have flooded, and then you have the sackcloth and ash, the people mourning in their time at this hour, representing the hour of the second woe. Um, that was 9/11/2001. It's literally Rev 9/11 and Rev 13. Wait, Rev 11:13 and Rev 9/11. They go together, those two parts. Anyway, okay, that's what that was. So what that did was released Apollyon. And George received it in the air. He was the only angel one in the air when the towers fall because he was up there doing a ritual where he received what was coming out. Okay, it's a whole big thing, but it was sanctified him fully in the kingdom of darkness and the Apollyon, whom they worship, Abaddon. All right, this vile and evil entity from the pit. Okay, and so they get their messages from the same too. So here I'm going to show you where you can actually see the council of darkness in whatever that is. It could be blood. I don't know what it is, but it's a charged thing with like gold and jewels. It's this whole thing right here. It's just weird to me, but deep in here you can see their councils. So they have summoned the darkness, and out of this the message is the coming of the Son of Man. And then you pay attention to all the things thereof that have happened ever since this ritual was done. Okay, that's how we figure out what they're talking about, along with the word of Yah, which is basically telling us that they get their counsel from darkness. And out of this we know that they're going to do whatever they summon. This is like the plan. And all the little things that they've been doing have been perpetuated upon them from some kind of source of darkness. And that's who they work for. Right? And they're I see this kind of, but I was just a profoundly like, wow, it says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who sees us and who knows? And they're just a glimmer of light. They're not really like, you know. So here, the Son of Man, the man whose name is a number, George W. Bush to be honored in Washington on World AIDS Day, which this would make it what? If it was 2007, then he's 10, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So this would be 15, 16 years. This would be the 16th year from his oration of Deuteronomy 30:19, declaring life and death on a death curse. All right. So big day for him. Oh, hail the man. All hail. Oh, look at him. He's our savior, saved us from AIDS. Oh, what a great guy. He's such a good Christian. I love him. Announced October 13th, 2022. So this was the day after. Here, behold, you know what you're looking at right now? The coming of the Son of Man. He is literally a representation of a son of man. He is the Satan's son incarnate, so he represents the savior for them. Like Jesus is this our savior for life, he represents to them the man that is death. Okay, so all hail the bush. October 13th. So one day after the coming, so the Council of Darkness have announced what? The coming of the Son of Man. No joke. And here he is being declared on for all the wonderful things he's done 16 years after his declaration and the number of his name. So this year, 2023, it's all about him, baby. It's all about this revelation. You want an apocalypse? Here it is. Apocalypse means a revelation, a coming to light, a coming to understanding. Here we go. Okay. So what does it say here? The Bushes will receive the Global Leadership Award for establishing the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR, in 2003. Bush announced the program in his State of the Union address, January 2003, and he signed into legislation to be established let me guess, I bet it was May 1st, 2003. I can't. President and CEO called the AIDS relief program one of the most significant achievements in global health in our lifetime. In a statement, she also praised the Bushes for transformational leadership in launching it nearly 20 years ago. Could you stop doing that? And PEPFAR is the largest commitment by any nation in history to address a single disease. Since the program's inception, the U.S. government has spent nearly $100 billion to respond to HIV/AIDS worldwide, saving 21 million lives, preventing millions of infections, and making strides to control the HIV/AIDS pandemic in more than 50 countries, mostly Africa and the Caribbean. And let's not forget, also out of PEPFAR has come the Lady Bush's great contribution to women's reproductive organs everywhere when it comes to HPV and other types of cancer relative to women. Okay, so she also has had her part on touching our most sacred sanctity, safe spaces in all humanity, the womb. Recently in Washington in September, Laura was a guest of President Joe Biden and the lovely Jill, and at a White House music event on the South Lawn featuring Elton John, a longtime advocate of people with HIV and AIDS. The U.S. Global Leadership Coalition is a network of 500 businesses, non-governmental organizations, national security, foreign policy experts, and business, religious, academic, military, and community leaders from across the U.S. who support investing in development and diplomacy alongside defense. Wow, that is a lot. That means a lot. Like, this is huge. This is more than AIDS, dude. But look at that. Look who's all sewn in. They've all sold out for a piece of bread to have followed the leader.
Who'd received loving.
And then I added in, of course, the declaration, which we already heard.
The children sang these inspiring words: God, you are really there. When I pray, when I cry, when I'm ill, you are there. Stories like these bring pride to our country, and they should bring something more. When we support nations seeking to replace chaos and despair with progress and hope, we reduce the appeal of extremism. When we replace despair with progress, when we replace hopelessness with hope, we add to the security of our nation. As well, we make friends who will always remember that America stood with them in their hour of need. The scriptures tell us, I have set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life. All who wage the battle against AIDS have made the choice for life. Because of their compassion and courage, millions who once saw the disease as a death sentence now look to the future with hope. This World AIDS Day is a day of importance because today we resolve to continue the work of healing and redemption. Today to strive for the day when the scourge of AIDS is a part of history. Lauren and I are honored to be here with you all. May God bless your work. May God bless those who suffer from HIV/AIDS. May God continue to bless our country. Thank you.
All right, so then in my search for the Council of Darkness, I found when you look further into it, this is not just policy, it's what they believe, the left-hand path of darkness. Ursula Neal. This was 1969. So here you can find what they believe. Let's see. And it even becomes policy. Like I found, did you know that Hillary Clinton's "It Takes a Village" is not just it's not a concept she just came up with. It's actually an old druidic belief that they governed by. That's how they believe. That's in child rearing. That's how the Druids believed, and that's what they follow. And they had, I mean, they literally raised witches. You know, and John Todd, he talked a lot about that. He talked about the origins of much of the Druidic, but much of the Druidic basically all the rule of law came from the Druids. A lot that we have in government has come from Druidic principles, and so it's not a new concept. It's very old. It's not something new. But here they're going to talk about councils of darkness, the left-hand path. There's literally here I wanted to touch on hopeless Armageddons. Penguin science fiction line was always smart. There are anthologies of short stories edited by Brian Aldiss, The Hopeless Armageddons by J.G. Ballard, and Much Cozier Armageddons by John Wyndham. Blah 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 blah, and it talks about this further on. Let me see. Talks about how, this stranger in a strange land tends to be the thought of and described as an archetype of 1960s SF novel. After all, wasn't it an essential part of the counterculture? Doesn't it contain philosophies and ways of living that people tried to incorporate into their lives? Didn't it help to swell the tide of free thought and free love? Well, yes, but its attitudes and its time of writing are solidly written in the 1950s. Robert A. Heinlein was and wrote The Stranger in the Strange Land. I often view George as that archetype as well. Anyway, bunch of stuff in my research. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I went here just to explain the dark forces and that there is this council of light and order. There are two councils under the Council of the 24. They are the Council of Light and the Order, and the Council of Darkness and Chaos. They both consist of 12 members, and they maintain the balance of the universe. The Council of Light's primary functions are to ensure the ongoing nature of order in universe. This will we will find in interdependence and in the proclamation and the Declaration of Interdependence, which is the global constitution that they currently are installing through peace and security in the gospel of the 322 George W. Bush, because he also has a gospel and he works through policy. And this is it. This is part of it. Okay. But this is how they divined their belief patterns into a constitution that literally declares themselves God and they don't need the creator anymore. To empower those individuals they deem appropriate to be the vehicles of order. So you must be chosen in this atmosphere of light, order, and chaos. Only you can be chosen. Okay. You can't really be elected. You have to be chosen by the man himself. And which means you're going to have to sell out your family line, your children. You're going to have to put them through horrendous torture and terror and pretty much give their lives over to the devil for this kind of power because you're a sellout. You have sold out even your own children, but God will forgive you if you turn back to him. All right, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. This is what the 322 families have done when they have covenanted with such a devil incarnate. They didn't know any better. They might have just been like, hey, this is the way we've been doing it for generations. And now your children are enslaved and wounded birds. That's why we're dealing with a lot of wounded souls. And it's not their fault. That's why the real redemption, the truth and the redemption in the blood of Jesus is what saves us and rescues us from this liar and his plague. All right. Manage the enforcers of the light known as the Melchizedek order. Gather all information of the lower councils and determine its assistance needed. Enforce the will of the source of higher councils. The councils, it's a whole thing, you guys. Literally. I don't even want to freaking understand it. All I know is that, George, this is where we are, bitch. This is where we are. This is where we are for you. Cheers, bitch. Okay? You're over, bitch. Get back in your corner. I know you're scared. I sound a little bit crazy. I know. Enjoy it while it's here, okay? Hey, you guys can comment. Hi, I'm sorry. I thought I'd turn comments off just so to be not distracted, but it's a welcome surprise because there's Retro Kitten and she's just saying hi. I hope you're having a great day at work and I miss you too. And guess what? I finally got HBO and I've been watching some. Oh, I just started Game of Thrones, girl. Oh, I love it already. Hi, Conspiracy Music. Why, thank you. Thank you. I love that song too. It's a revelation. This is the apocalypse. It's not a scary thing, guys, to be awakened. Okay, it's not a scary thing. The awakening is happening for a reason. But I guess I talk about George specifically today because I'm going to keep exposing him and hopefully do a series of the Curious George files. All the times George has stumbled into curious little messes that sort of just reveal him straight on. And oh, he's everywhere. He's not just a George. Like, these, and I know this is a father-son thing that I've noticed through I don't know if it's ritual magic or the rite of the sun or something, but they can hop around. Like George could hop around from vessel to vessel if he chose, right? I've witnessed it. It wasn't him per se, but it was like a spirit of a father or a presence, and you're just like, whoa, like weren't you just that, and then now you're something else? And I don't recognize this personally. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's split personalities. I don't know, but it harbors the fact that the father has some kind of access. I don't know what that means, but it's something in their magical process where it's the children and the parents have this connection. I don't know. It's creepy AF, but that's for a whole other thing. It's neither here nor there really, but that's why I have a tender heart for I'm just for the children of these old religious dark deep councils of evil that rule the planet. And the more you know, the more you can rise up in victory over them, because then they no longer really have power over your mind anymore. When you just say, like, you really, really have to recognize this insignificant little sellouts who are only trying to garner and hold on to power, and they're completely desperate right now. And it's in their heart so strong to do the will of my Father that's literally bringing them to their final place, Armageddon, where they will war with Yah, that it's like they can't stop and they won't stop. And their only resolution is to destroy what they can along the way, which is you and me. So it is a time now to be awakened to the reality that, like, you have more power than you think over them. And we, as a conglomerate or group, as we come out of her people continually, making Yeshua our sovereign king, uh, giving him our life, cutting off all these little aspects that have kept us in either darkness or in cages or in lostness or in hopelessness, or thinking that you don't deserve such love and grace and mercy and forgiveness. Those are all lies. Like, the enemy will always try to keep you down, but the goodness and the severity and the truth of Yah and the power of him is meant to lift us up and out so that we can be free and true freedom. So when Jesus said, like, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, there is an entire generation who don't even know what they do and why. And I know Yah's heart for them is very, very strong. And he is going to release them. It's written. He will release them. It's just not in a moment in time. So my prayer is always that Yah will hide them until their moment of freedom. And in that, um, I guess I'll end it here. So yeah, I just want to say that this is the man. And another thing, I want to speak to leadership. Anyone in leadership, look, get over yourself. All right. And I'm talking to people who are always going to say, no, like, the end isn't now. Like, we still have to get through the rapture and then the 7 year tribulation and then the freaking millennial reign, which is another 1,000 years where Jesus is going to come back and rule and reign. I'm telling you, you bought a bucket of lies, and you perpetuate them for the mother, and you work on her behalf when you continue to teach those lies. If I stand here and I say that the man of sin, son of perdition, is revealed, and in working in operation, and look here and point there at him, that screws up all your theology. I know it sucks, but at least consider it for a moment, please, so that you can get sucked back into truth and not worry about what your pastors and leadership and your whole entire church thinks. Because at the end of the day, you will be judged for what you taught others. And truth matters. So if it doesn't resonate, and it's not, because that's just religion, dude. The truth is a whole different thing. It takes you apart and it says, here, look, examine, understand, give it a chance, reason it in your mind. And then what will you do? Will you still hold fast to your lies and your doctrines of error that you feed the people and give them a false hope? And not only that, you know what you do? You rob them of hope, because you say, I'm going to be raptured and I won't have to worry about what you're going to have to go through for 7 years, but it's going to be hell. And you might survive and get saved. That gives people no hope, dude. No hope at all. But you won't do it. You won't do it. You won't say, no, the Antichrist isn't coming until after the rapture. That's what they believe. That's why they don't have to worry about it, right? Their hands are cleaned. I'm special. I get to leave, and you're going to be stuck here, like with everyone else, in torture. And it's going to be horrible. Dude, it's horrible right now. Look around, buddy. All right? Dude, You have to get out of her. You have to consider truth, and then you have to be responsible if you're teaching lies. All right, it's a huge responsibility. It's not something anyone should take lightly. So reason with that, and then I don't know, just keep getting out of her. Anyway, with that being said, he is revealed, so your concepts of time are way off, and that's what the mother does, is she likes to keep you thinking in the future so you're not looking right now. And so you can say, well, it's not it, this is it doesn't happen but I'm showing you, yeah, look at the fruit, check the fruit of the bush. Why do you think Jesus pointed to him and said, consider the fruit? Like, nothing about him has ever led anyone to life. And look at the position we are in now, which puts us in a better position to recognize that, yeah, we've been betrayed time and time again. Is that not the way of Apollyon, Abaddon, who is an abandoner, an absolute abandoner, like Saturn ate his own son? They don't care about you. That's the point. The man don't care. At the end of the day, ain't gonna care. He's only gonna, and the only reason he has intelligence over everyone is because he's watching over the people who've covenanted with him to make sure that they're in line with it. And then they all watch each other. It's a really crazy thing of intelligence. Whatever. That's a whole other thing, because we'll talk about George and the CIA. The idea of intelligence in a global spy network that so many people have also sold out to be a part of, just so that you can get your voyeurism on, yo weirdos. All right. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. But know that Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life, and he will save us. And he does have a plan. And he's coming to rectify the situation swiftly and concisely, perfectly. And that's my Father in whom I serve. And I just want you to have great hope that he does garner you as very precious as his creation and is the one to heal us. Okay, you guys, thank you for listening. I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you again real soon. All right, bye bye.